I torched my brother's prized vintage Mustang in the dead of night, the flames roaring like the accusations I'd bottled up for years, painting the empty Walmart parking lot in hellish orange. It wasn't just a car, it was the symbol of every lie he'd fed me, every secret I'd buried to keep our family from imploding. As the fire truck screamed closer, I slipped into the shadows, heart pounding, wondering if revenge tasted this sweet or if I'd just signed my own confession. But that blaze? It was nothing compared to the inferno I'd ignited in my soul the day I learned he'd framed me for his embezzlement, letting me rot in county lockup while he waltzed off with my scholarship dreams. I'd paid for his mistakes since we were kids, literally, down to those damn library fines. And now, with the taste of ash on my tongue, I vowed he'd pay in ways that would make the devil blush. What I didn't count on was the twist, the one person who'd pulled me from the brink, the librarian who'd tilted the scales in my favor, was tangled in his web too. And as the sirens faded, I realized the real betrayal wasn't his alone. It was the mirror I'd avoided cracking all these years. My name is Madison Hale, and if you'd told me 5 years ago that I'd be staring down the barrel of a lifetime supply of regret, I'd have laughed it off with a cheap beer and a bad joke. Back then, I was just another broke-ass kid from Elmwood, Ohio, population 4,200, dreams 4,001, and the kind of Main Street that looked like it hadn't updated its wallpaper since Reagan was president. Elmwood wasn't the sort of place that bred ambition. It chewed it up and spat it out like day-old gum. But me? I was the exception. Or so I told myself. Hustling 2 jobs by 16, flipping burgers at Dairy Queen and shelving books at the public library to scrape together enough for community college. Anything to escape the double-wide trailer where Mom chain-smoked her way through shifts at the factory. And Dad. Well, Dad was a ghost who showed up only for the cable bill. It started innocently enough. That chain of kindnesses that would later feel like nooses. I was 14, all gangly limbs and chipped nail polish, when I first laid eyes on Tommy Ruiz. He was 12. This scrawny Latino kid with eyes like saucers and a backpack stuffed with dog-eared sci-fi novels he'd borrowed, without the library's blessing. Elmwood Library was my sanctuary, smelling of musty pages and misses. Evelyn Hargrove's lavender perfume. She was the head librarian, a steel-haired widow in her 50s with a stare that could curdle milk and a heart buried under layers of card catalogs. I'd volunteer there after school, dusting shelves for pocket change, because it beat going home to Mom's latest blackout. Tommy got caught one Tuesday in October, rain lashing the windows like it was trying to drown the town. He'd stuffed 3 Stephen King paperbacks into his jeans, thinking no one would notice the lumpy outline under his thrift store hoodie. Mrs. Hargrove did. Of course. She always did. Madison, she said, her voice like gravel under tires. Escort young Mr. Ruiz to my office. And fetch the fine ledger. I did as told, my sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. Tommy was shaking, tears carving tracks through the dirt on his cheeks. Please, Mads, he whispered. We'd bonded over contraband comic books swapped in the schoolyard. Don't let her call my dad. He'll kill me. His old man was a drunk who worked the line at the tire plant, the kind who used belts for emphasis. I knew the type. Dad had left scars that itched in humid weather. What happened next was the first thread in the noose. I didn't rat him out. Instead, after Mrs. Hargrove tallied the fines, $1.45 for overdue and damaged goods, I dipped into my Dairy Queen stash. The one I'd been saving for new boots that didn't leak. It's on me, I told her, sliding the crumpled bills across the desk. Tommy's eyes went wide as dinner plates. Mrs. Hargrove arched a brow, her lips pursing like she'd bitten a lemon. Charity's a dangerous habit.
Girl. The ash is nothing.
But she took the money, stamped the books returned, and let him slink out into the storm. That act bought me a ghost of a smile from Tommy and a long, appraising look from Mrs. Hargrove. You're too soft for this world. Madison Hale, she muttered as I wiped down the counters. I shrugged it off, but deep down, I felt seen. For the first time, someone had clocked my quiet rebellion against the grind. Fast forward 4 years. Elmwood Community College was a concrete bunker on the edge of town, where the coffee tasted like regret and the lectures droned like cicadas in July. I'd clawed my way into the nursing program on fumes and federal aid, dreaming of scrubs and stability, anything to outrun the trailer park echo. Tommy had vanished after middle school. Rumors said his family bounced to Toledo when the plant laid off half the town. I didn't think of him much, except when I'd pass the library and remember that rainy Tuesday. Scholarships were my golden ticket. The Elmwood Excellence Award, $20,000 a year. Full ride to Ohio State. It was for outstanding community service, and I padded my app with every volunteer shift, every soup kitchen run. The committee was a who's who of local pillars, the mayor, a banker, and, surprise, Mrs. Hargrove, who'd retired but still lorded over the cultural grants like a hawk on a mouse. Interview day. I showed up in my one good blouse, ironed within an inch of its life, palms slick as I shook hands in that stuffy VFW hall. Mrs. Hargrove sat at the end of the table, her glasses perched like a judge's gavel. Miss Hale, she said, flipping through my file. Tell us about your commitment to Elmwood. I launched into my spiel, library hours, food drives, tutoring the elementary dropouts. But then she leaned forward, eyes narrowing. And the Ruiz boy, the fines you covered. That wasn't on your resume. My stomach dropped like a stone in Lake Erie. How the hell? It was nothing, I stammered. Just helping a kid out. She smiled then, thin and sharp as a scalpel. Nothing? Or everything? In a town like this. One good deed ripples. The committee values ripples. Madison. I walked out dazed. The autumn leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. 2 weeks later, the letter came. Congratulations.
Madison Hale.
Full scholarship. My hands shook as I read it in the trailer. Mom whooping from her lazy boy, a rare sober gleam in her eye. For the first time, Elmwood felt like it might let me go. But ripples?
Yeah.
They came back to drown you. I didn't know it yet, but Tommy Ruiz wasn't gone. He'd been watching from the shadows. And that kindness I'd paid for, it was the debt he'd come to collect, with interest. College hit like a freight train. Ohio State was a beast, Buckeye banners whipping in the wind, frat parties thumping bass that rattled my dorm windows. I traded my trailer for a bunk bed in Morrill Tower, my shifts at the library for cadaver labs that smelled of formaldehyde and false starts. Nursing was brutal, midnight crams, veins that wouldn't draw, professors who ate optimism for breakfast. But the scholarship held me afloat. A lifeline, Mrs. Hargrove had nodded herself. I kept in touch with Elmwood loosely, holiday cards to Mom, the occasional library drop-in when I drove home. Mrs. Hargrove would corner me by the periodicals, grilling me on grades like a drill sergeant. Don't squander it,
girl.
Opportunities like yours? They're borrowed, Not given. By junior year, I'd carved a niche, top of my class, president of the Student Nurses Association, even dating a pre-med guy named Jake who quoted Hemingway like it was scripture. Life was linear, upward, until the email from an address I didn't recognize, trueyes88@columbusmail.com. Long time. Mess. Remember the library fines? Oh, you won. Tommy. Attached was a photo, me at 14, blurry from the library's ancient security cam, handing over those bills to Mrs. Hargrove. My heart stuttered.
How? Why now?
I replied cautiously. Tommy? That you? What's up? His response pinged back in minutes. Yeah, it's me. Back in town. Dad died. Left me the house. Heard about your big break.
Congrats.
Coffee sometime? Repay the favor. We met at a dive off High Street. Neon buzzing, been there. Done that. The air thick with espresso and undergrad angst. Tommy had filled out, broad shoulders under a flannel shirt, a fade haircut sharp as his grin, tattoos snaking up his forearms like warning signs. Mads Hale. Savior of small-time thieves, he said, sliding a latte my way. You look good. College suits you. We talked for hours, his stint in juvie after a joyride gone wrong, bouncing between Toledo odd jobs, landing back in Elmwood fixing trucks at the garage. That fine you paid? Changed everything. Mom said if I'd faced it alone, Dad would have beaten me senseless. You gave me a second chance. Guilt twisted in my gut. But his laugh was easy, his eyes warm. We swapped numbers. Met again, dinners at his place. A shotgun shack on the edge of town with a fridge stocked with craft IPAs. He was funny. Raw. The kind of guy who fixed your carburetor and quoted Vonnegut without pretension. Jake faded into the background. Tommy was real. Gritty. A piece of home I'd romanticized. By Christmas, we were official. Mom met him over pot roast, declaring him a keeper with those arms. Mrs. Hargrove, she cornered me at the library holiday party, her breath sour with eggnog. Ruiz boy. Careful. Madison. Debts have a way of compounding. I brushed it off. What did she know? Tommy was my anchor in the storm of rotations and exams. But cracks showed slow, like frost on a windshield. He'd vanish for nights. Phone dead. Blaming garage overtime. I'd find cash, $100 bills, tucked in his sock drawer. Unexplained. Side gigs, he'd say. Kissing my forehead.
For us.
That ring ain't gonna buy itself. I wanted to believe him.
God.
I did. Until the night I came home early from a shift and found the safe, his just-in-case lockbox, cracked open on the kitchen table. Inside, ledgers, scribbled with numbers that didn't add up, names I recognized from the scholarship committee. And at the bottom, a photo, not the library one, but a newer shot, me, beaming with my acceptance letter, clipped from the local paper. That's when the ripple turned tidal. Senior year blurred into a haze of clinicals and caffeine, but Tommy's shadow lengthened with every unanswered text. I'd confront him over takeout Thai, steam rising like accusations. What's with the cash? Tom? And those books, looks like you're cooking something. He'd lean back, that grin flashing like a switchblade. Paranoid much? It's poker nights with the boys. Harmless. But his eyes would dart, and the sex that followed was frantic, like he was fucking the suspicion out of me. I let it slide, because love's a blindfold you tie yourself. Graduation loomed like a guillotine. I'd aced my boards. Lined up a residency at Riverside Methodist in Columbus, $60K starting. Benefits that could bury mom's medical debts. Tommy talked marriage. A courthouse elopement with tacos after. We'll make it.
Mads.
You and me against the Rust Belt. Then the call came. The one that snapped the blindfold. Mrs. Hargrove. Voice crackling over my crappy cell signal. Madison. We need to talk.
Now.
Library. Close up. I drove home that weekend. Wiper blades slapping rain like judgment. Elmwood was sodden. The fields mudslick under a bruised sky. The library smelled the same, old paper and regret, but Mrs. Hargrove waited in the back office. A manila folder fat as a grudge on her desk. Sit, she said.
No pleasantries.
I did, knees knocking the desk leg. She slid the folder over. Inside, bank statements,
Wire transfers.
emails. Tommy's name stamped everywhere like a brand. Your beau's been busy, she said, tapping a highlighted line. Siphoning funds from the library's endowment. Small hits, $500 here, $2,000 there. For community grants. But it ends up in his pockets. My throat closed.
How?
Caught him last month, trying to access the digital ledger. Used your old volunteer code, thought I'd wiped it, but the boy's clever. Said he was helping you. Covering your debts from back when. Debts? The fines. My fines. Paid for him. That's insane. I don't know. You paid for his mistakes. Madison. And now he's paying you back? Or forward? Look deeper.
I did.
The emails. Tommy to Hargrove. CCNG the committee. Madison hails a gem. Deserves every penny. Let me handle the admin, volunteer basis. Attached, falsified receipts, padded service hours. He'd juice my app. Backdated library logs to make my commitment shine. And the money? Funneled through shell accounts. Half to the library, laundering the theft. Half to
Us.
our side gigs account, the one with the ring fund. Betrayal hit like a gut punch. Not just the theft, the manipulation. He'd turned my kindness into his con, propping me up on stolen stilts. Why tell me now? I whispered. Her eyes softened. Just a flicker. Because that scholarship? I pushed it through knowing your heart.
Girl. But this.
It's poison. He's poison. And if the committee finds out, it drags you down too. I left in a daze. Folder burning a hole in my passenger seat. Tommy was at the trailer when I burst in. Mom out at bingo. What the fuck? Tom. I hurled the papers at his feet. He didn't flinch. Just scooped them up. Face calm as a pond before the stone skips. Mads. Baby. Don't. You stole from the library. From her. From me. He stepped closer. Hands up like surrender. It was for us. The library's flush. Endowments bloated from grants they never spend. I redistributed. Robin Hood shit. And your app? I fixed what you were too humble to brag about. Those fines? That was the start. I owed you. Owed me? By framing me as a fraud. My voice cracked. Fists balled. You flipped my life into your script. His laugh was bitter. Eyes hardening. Flipped? You flipped first. Mess. Always the martyr. Paying for everyone's sins. Remember, Dad? When he beat me for the smokes I didn't steal, you took the blame. Said they were yours. Let him wail on you instead. That's your pattern, sacrificing for strays. Dad. The ghost. Yeah. I'd covered for Tommy then, too. 8 years old. Bruises blooming like ink under my shirt. Family code. Protect the weak. But this was predation. Get out, I said, pointing to the door.
He did.
But not before that grin twisted. You'll come around. Blood's thicker than ink on a page.
Blood.
That's when it clicked. Tommy wasn't just some neighborhood stray. DNA test from Mom's drunk confession last summer. Half-brother. Dad's indiscretion with the barmaid. She'd made me swear silence. He's family now.
Mess.
We fix our own. I'd swallowed it. Like everything. But family? That word curdled now. The breakup was ugly. He ghosted calls. Then showed up at my dorm with flowers and a locksmith. Changed the trailer locks. Claimed squatter's rights since Mom co-signed his truck loan. Whispers spread. Tommy Ruiz. The charmer. Spinning tales of my jealous fit. Jake dumped me via text. Too much drama.
Mess.
Friends ghosted. Even Mrs. Hargrove went radio silent. Probably lawyered up. Graduation came and went, a solo walk across the stage. Diploma heavy as lead. Riverside offered the job, but the scholarship shadow loomed. An audit hit the library fund, fingers pointed at the volunteer with Hale ties.
Me.
I lawyered up on credit, fought the fraud charge. Circumstantial, the DA grumbled, dropping it when Hargrove testified. The girl's clean. Boy's the snake. Tommy? Slipped the noose, probation. Community service. Irony. Back at the library. Shelving under her watchful eye. But he didn't stop. Letters arrived at work. Miss you.
Sis.
Let's bury this.
Sis.
The secret weapon. Dangled like bait. I burned them. But the embers stuck. Residency ground me down. 12-hour shifts in ER chaos. Patients bleeding out on gurneys. The beep of monitors mocking my pulse. Columbus was a grindstone, sharpening my edges. I dated sporadically, a barista with tattoos. A pharmacist who quoted stats, but no one stuck. Trust was a luxury I'd pawned. Then, the hook that reeled me back. Mom's cancer. Stage 3. Pancreas. The thief in the night. Come home. Mads, she rasped over the phone, voice thin as tissue. Tommy was there, playing dutiful son, cooking her chemo slop, holding her hand. Family, he texted me. A photo, him at her bedside, my old scholarship frame on the wall. I went. Trailer reeked of bleach and despair. Mom clung to me, skin papery. He's good to me, baby. Forgive. I tried. Dinners turned to truces, awkward forks scraping plates. Tommy's jokes landing like grenades. Water under the bridge. Right? He'd squeeze my knee under the table. Brotherly now. But the grip lingered. The decision came one frostbitten February night. Mom's pain meds ran dry. Pharmacy closed. Tommy drove. Me shotgun. Elmwood streets slick with ice. We make a team, he said, glancing over. Always have. At the 24-hour CVS in the next county, he vanished inside for 20 minutes. I waited, engine idling, until sirens wailed, cops swarming the lot. Ma'am, your brother's been robbed. Shots fired. Inside, Tommy, clutching his side, blood seeping through his flannel. Punk came at me for the scripts. He gasped to the paramedics.
Me?
They eyed me like accomplice, half-sister to the junkie enabler. It was bullshit. Later, in the ER, irony, not Riverside, but the local mill hospital, the doc stitched him up, graze wound, superficial. No punk, no gun. Tommy's tale unraveled under questioning. Self-inflicted, the cop muttered. For the sympathy scripts. Oxy for mom. Extras for Flip. He'd staged it. For the pills, the pity play. And me, dragged in as cover. That night, as he slept off the morphine, I slipped into his phone, passcode our birthday.
The fool.
Text to a burner, hails ripe. Scholarship fraud buried. But leverage gold. Push for payout. Payout? To who? I scrolled. A fixer in Cleveland. Quiet resolution for $10K. Tommy wasn't just conning the library, he was shaking me down. The secret of our blood tie. The fines. The app boost. Ammo to extort family support, or blow it all if I didn't pay. Rage bloomed. Hot and black. I'd borne his sins, fines. Beatings. Now, this cancer charade. No more. I started small. Anonymous tip to the DA. Tommy's garage side hustle. Chop shop vibes. Cops raided. He walked again. Charm on overdrive. Snitch, he hissed at the next family dinner. Eyes like flints. Mom, oblivious. Spooning jello. He flipped then, ally to adversary. Befriended Jake at a reunion. Spilled truths. My instability. The thefts I'd inspired. Jake's texts. Knew you were toxic. I flipped back. Dug into his past. Juvenile records unsealed via a shady PI app. Tommy's dad? Not dead. Beaten to a pulp in a bar brawl. Tommy the suspect. Covered. Like always. The tension coiled. Spring-loaded. Mom slipped into hospice. Her last words. Fix it.
Kids.
Family first. Funeral was a blur. Potluck casseroles. Tommy eulogizing like a saint. Afterward, in the graveyard fog, he cornered me by her stone. Your turn to pay up,
Sis.
$20K, or the DNA goes public. Scholarship revoked. Fraud charges revived. Mom wouldn't want that. I met his gaze. Rain beating on my lashes. You think blood buys silence? His smile was serpentine. It bought everything else. That night, I drove to the garage. His Mustang gleamed under the fluorescence, cherry red. His pride, bought with laundered library cash. I doused it in gas from the pump, Zippo flickering in my palm. The whoosh as it caught was cathartic. Flames devouring the leather seats. The custom rims melting like butter. I watched from the trailing, phone recording the blaze. Sirens in the distance. But I was gone. Taillights fading into the interstate. Revenge tasted like gasoline and grief. But as the adrenaline crashed, doubt crept in. Was I the martyr or the monster? And what would Mrs. Hargrove say if she knew? The Mustang Inferno made headlines. Arson at local garage. Suspected insurance scam. Tommy played victim flawless. Tear streaked on the 6 o'clock news. Some psycho grudge. But I'll rebuild. Insurance payout. $40K. Minus the questions. Cops knocked on my door in Columbus 2 days later. Routine canvas. I blinked innocence. Tommy? That asshole ex? Haven't spoken since the split. They bought it. My alibis were ironclad, your shift. Time-stamped charts. But he knew. A burner text at 3 a.m. Bold move.
Sis.
Escalation's my game. Watch your back. I didn't sleep after that. Shifts blurred into nightmares, flames morphing into Mom's frail hand, Tommy's laugh echoing like hyenas. Riverside noticed. Burnout. Hale, take a comp day. I did. Holing up in my studio apartment. Walls closing like a vice. The scholarship letter, framed on my dresser, mocked me now, a tainted talisman. Desperation bred strategy. I called Mrs.
Hargrove.
Voicemail first. It's Madison. Need your help. The ripples. They're drowning me. She picked up on the third ring.
Voice wary.
Girl, I told you to cut ties.
The Met in Columbus?
Neutral ground. A Starbucks off I-71. Her in a cardigan stiff as armor. Me nursing a black coffee that tasted like bile. I spilled it all. The ledgers. The extortion. The blood secret. Omitted the fire. Some lines even I wouldn't cross.
Yet.
Her face didn't crack, but her knuckles whitened on her mug. That boy. Tommy's always been a chameleon. Flips skins like it's nothing. Remember his dad? Beatings I reported, anonymous tips. Tommy thanked me once, then denied it all when social services sniffed. Said I was lying for attention. Chameleon.
Yeah.
He'd charmed Mom into co-signing loans.
Me into bed.
The committee into winks. What now? I asked, voice small. She leaned in, eyes like polished obsidian. Leverage cuts both ways. I've got files, his juvenile hacks into the library system, traces still in the server logs. And that scholarship? I favored you because I saw your light, Madison. But I bent rules too. Overlooked a transcript glitch to push your app. We're both dirty if it cracks open. Confession hit like a slap. My savior. Complicit.
You.
Why not tell me? Guilt's a chain.
Girl.
I paid your fines indirectly, funneled a microgrant to cover volunteer incentives. Thought it even the scales.
Her laugh was dry.
Elmwood small. Secrets fester. We plotted then. 2 spiders spinning a web. She digitized the old logs. Plant bait. A fake audit email to Tommy. CCANG me. Library irregularities. Review required. He'd bite. Hack in. Leave fingerprints.
He did.
Faster than expected. Midnight ping. Server breach traced to his IP. The garage router. Mrs. Hargrove forwarded to the DA. Evidence of ongoing fraud. Cops moved swift this time. Raided Dawn. Tommy in cuffs. Mustang ashes still warm in the impound lot. Interrogation room footage leaked. Tommy raging. Flipping from denial to deflection. It was her. Madison set me up, scholarship whore. Paying me back for the fines. Then. The pivot. Tears.
Dê sob story.
She's my sister.
Man.
Half-blood. Covered for me since kids. I was just protecting family.
Sister.
Outed on tape. Viral in Elmwood's Facebook groups. Whispers hit Columbus. Nurses side-eyeing me in the break room. Hale's a fraud. Riverside HR called me in. Integrity clause. Madison. Suspension pending review. The world tilted. I torched his car for freedom. Now it chained me tighter. Tommy's flips weren't just survival. They were viral. Infecting everything. From victim to villain to victim again. each mask peeling to reveal the lie beneath. I confronted him in county lockup, plexiglass between us, his orange jumpsuit clashing with the bruises under his eyes. "You happy now?" Blood in the water. He pressed the receiver to his ear. Grin feral. "You started the fire."
Sis.
Metaphorically. "Those fines? I paid you back 100-fold scholarship, the life. But you couldn't let go." Martyr complex. "Fuck you," I hissed. "You stole it all. Borrowed. Like you borrowed my sins." He leaned close, breath fogging the glass. "Twist, Mom knew. About us. The DNA. She begged me to fix you, said you were too soft. Needed hardening. That cancer play? Her idea. To reel you home. Liar. Or was he?" Mom's last words echoed. "Fix it." Ambiguous as a Rorschach. I left shaking, drove aimless through cornfields, radio spitting static. Pulled over at a rest stop, puked into the gravel. The betrayal layered now, Tommy's, Mom's maybe, even Hargrove's quiet rule bends. I'd shouldered crimes not mine, his thefts, Dad's rages. Now this incestuous, knot of family fraud. Revenge evolved. No more flames. I went nuclear, public. Leaked the full file to the Columbus Dispatch, anonymized. But the dots connected. Headline: Library heist scandal, scholarship sweetheart or small-town schemer? The quotes from sources: Tommy's hacks, my overinflated service, Hargrove's irregular grants. Fallout was biblical. Elmwood erupted. Petitions to revoke my award. Hargrove resigning in disgrace. Tommy's trial fast-tracked to plea. 5 years. Restitution. Riverside fired me outright. Reputation risk. But the controversy? It split the town like fault lines. Half hailed me hero. Exposed the snake. Petitions flooding the paper. The other, villainous. She burned his car. Blood money. Online forums lit up. Reddit threads debating. Is Madison Hale a survivor or a saboteur? Feminists rallied for me. Locals decried. Entitled millennial revenge porn. I didn't care. Or tried not to. Hold up in a motel off 270. Job hunting via LinkedIn. LVN gigs in Dayton. $40,000 slogs. Nights. I'd scroll the debates. Heart-twisting. Was I right? Wrong? The grays smeared everything. Then the call, unknown number. Madison Hale? Evelyn Hargrove. We need to end this. She'd driven up, parked outside my door like a sentinel. Inside, over lukewarm pizza, she handed me an envelope. Thick. Open it. Checks. 5 of them. $4K each. Library's discretionary fund. Clean now. For you. I stared. Why? Because I decided your future once. In your favor. Now, decide your own. Her eyes twinkled. Dark. And Tommy? He's flipping again, testifying against the DA for leniency. Says you'll back his sisterly coercion story. The chameleon strikes. Always. I cashed 1 check for rent, burned the rest in the motel tub, flames small. Symbolic. No more borrowed fires. But the climax brewed. Parole hearing in 6 months, Tommy eligible early. Whispers. He'd leverage the family angle for a book deal. Lifetime movie. Betrayed by blood. The Elmwood deception. I couldn't let it stand. Not after the sins I'd shouldered. The plan crystallized over a sleepless week. Testify. Not for him, for me. Unravel the web. Thread by bloody thread. Courtroom in Chillicothe. County seat, mahogany benches. AC humming like judgment. Tommy at the defense table. Suit ill-fitting. Eyes locking mine as I took the stand. State your relation to the defendant, the bailiff intoned. Half-brother, I said, voice steady. Gasps rippled. The judge banged gavel. Elaborate. Emis.
Hale. I did.
The fines, the beatings, the scholarship strings. He used me. Like always. I covered his crimes to survive. But survival's not absolution. Tommy's lawyer pounced. You committed arson. Emis.
Hail.
Vandalism. Isn't this payback? Yes, I admitted. Meeting the jury's eyes, housewives, farmers, a nurse like me.
It was.
Controversial? Hell yes. But after years of his flips, thief to savior to extortionist, I chose me. The room fractured. Protests from the gallery. Liar. She's the victim. Tommy smirked, but sweat beaded his brow. Closing arguments split the seam. Prosecution painted him monster. Defense. Me the enabler. Jury deliberated 14 hours. Deadlocked twice. Polled endless. Verdict. Guilty. 7 years. No parole.
But the twist?
They recommended leniency consideration for my cooperative testimony, a nod to the gray. As bailiffs cuffed him, Tommy mouthed, not over. Sis. Outside. Press swarmed. Mics in my face. Do you regret it? I paused. Rain starting again. Elmwood's echo in the drops. Regret? Every day. But freedom's worth the debate. Mrs. Hargrove waited by her Oldsmobile. Umbrella extended. Well played, girl. We drove in silence. The horizon bruising purple. Ripples settled. Or so I thought. Life post-trial was a limbo dance. 2 steps forward, 1 back into the muck. The dispatch ran follow-ups. Hale's redemption or a reckoning? My firing stuck, nursing licenses scrutinized. But a small clinic in Zanesville took a chance, part-time triage, $28 an hour. No questions on the personal matters. I rented a 1-bedroom above a laundromat. The spin cycle lulling me to fitful sleep. Dreams of flames. Fines unpaid. Tommy's grin morphing into Mom's skeletal smile. Public opinion seesawed. A podcast, Rust Belt Revenge, dropped episode 7, Madison Hale, anti-hero or homewrecker? Listeners flooded my anonymous tip line, set up post-trial. Half masochism. Half catharsis. You did what we all dream. Burn the bridge. Versus. Enabler. Should have let him rot sooner. It polarized. As Hargrove predicted, families divided at Thanksgiving. Bar stools argued over IPAs. I leaned into the gray. Started a blog, Sins Borrowed, anonymous confessions from the heartland, covering for addicts. Faking resumes. The quiet crimes of care. It blew up. Patreon trickling $200 a month. Enough for therapy. Where Dr. Lena unpacked the martyr in me. You didn't just pay fines. Madison. You paid with your soul. Hargrove visited once, bearing lemon bars and a proposition. Libraries rebuilding the fund. Named a grant after your mom. Hale Ruiz Community Lift. Ironic.
Want in?
Mentor the applicants. I laughed.
Bitter.
Celebrate the mess? Own it. Her eyes. Softer now. I flipped too.
Once.
Pushed your app, knowing the fine story. Thought it justice. But justice? It's messy as mud. I took the gig, weekends driving back, sifting essays from Elmwood hopefuls. Kids like me, scarred but scrappy. One girl,
Leah.
reminded me of Tommy, wide eyes, sticky fingers on manga. When she confessed borrowing a textbook, I didn't snitch. Paid the $12 fine myself. Pay it forward, I told her. But own your shit next time. Tommy wrote from Lock 14, letters smuggled via a cousin. Postmarked Chillicothe. First one, rage. You testified for clout. Traitor. Then flips, remorse. Bible verses. God forgives debts. By the fifth, business pitch. Parole in 18 months. Partner up. Ruiz and Hale, redemption mechanics. Fix cars. Fix lives. I burn them all. But the last stuck, a photo tucked in. Us at 12, me pushing him on a tire swing. Grins gap-toothed. Caption. Blood don't lie. It gnawed. Was the twist forgiveness? Or the final con? Parole hearing arrived like a storm front, September swelter. Leaves just hinting gold. I drove down. Suit crisp. Testimony prepped. Not to free him, to bind the wound. Recommend release. I told the board. Voice even. With conditions, therapy. Restitution full. He's family. Flawed. But mine. Gasps from the gallery, his lawyer beaming. Victim's rep scowling.
Tommy.
Shackled. Met my eyes shock. Then that grin. Grateful? Calculating? The board deliberated in whispers. Then, parole granted. 6 months supervised. Outside. He hugged me, awkward through the cuffs, smelling of bleach and hope.
Why?
Because ending with hate, that's his win. I pulled back. But one flip. Tom, one hint of the snake, and I testify again. For keeps. He nodded.
Solemn.
Straight. Mess. Promise. The drive home was quiet. Radio crooning Springsteen, trapped again by the devil's deal. Zanesville welcomed with its chemical plants belching steam. A horizon scarred but standing. Months ticked. Tommy checked in weekly, job at a muffler shop. NA meetings logged. Restitution checks mailed. Half to the library. Half to Mom's grave fund. Hargrove thawed. Boys trying. Miracles happen. I dated a welder named Cal. Easy laughs over bonfires. Life stitched. Clinic hours. Blog posts. Leah's thank you card. You changed my ripple. The gray didn't vanish, but it softened, like fog burning off. Then the twist, the one that reignited the debate. Split my worlds anew. It came via email. Anonymous. Check the will. Mom's secret. Attached. Scan of a notary. Dated her hospice admission. Beatrice Hale. Leaving everything, the trailer. The 92 Civic. $8,000 in savings to my son, Thomas Ruiz. For the debts unpaid.
Debts.
Plural. Not just fines, everything. The beatings I'd covered. The silence on his parentage. The cancer con she'd orchestrated. Repaying her guilt by saddling him. But the kicker, codicil. To Madison, the library debt. Forgive. Or collect. Library debt? Hargrove called frantic. Your mom's slush fund. Years of donations to cover fines. Not just yours. Tommy's juvenile stuff. Your dad's bar tabs funneled through. She was the ghost thief.
Mom.
The addict. The enabler. Her fix-it wasn't plea, it was confession. She'd borne the original sin, passing the chain to us. I confronted Tommy over diner coffee. We'll print out between us. His face crumpled, not the grin, but real. Didn't know till after. Thought it was clean money. Liar? Or lost boy? She made us both monsters, I said. He nodded, tears streaking. What now? The debate exploded anew. Leaked will to the podcast. Hail legacy. Matriarchal manipulation? Forums fractured. Mom's the villain. Systemic poverty's the real betrayer. Petitions. Revoke my grant. Honor it as survivor cred. I chose the unpinnable. Cash mom savings for a down payment. Tiny house in Zanesville. Porch swing for ghosts. Tommy co-signed the loan. His name on the deed. Partners, I said. But equal. No more debts. Hargrove mentored from afar. Her grant booming, kids paying fines forward. Ripples redirected. Lial won it. First gen to OSU. Ending? No tidy bow. Tommy flips still. Good days welding with Cal. Bad ones eyeing the safe. I watch. Ready. Revenge wasn't the blaze. It was the slow burn. The choice to rebuild on ashes. Some call it happy. Redemption arc. Family forged in fire. Others. Tragedy. Codependence eternal.
Me?
I sit on that porch. Coffee steaming. Wondering if the hook ever releases. Blood don't lie. But forgiveness? That's the real controversy.